All right. Buenas tardes, Albuquerque. How you guys doing? All right. Well, it's an honor to be here with you all today. Thank you so much for taking the time to host me and be here with you today. Let me first just say that you all are American heroes, standing up for democracy, standing up for civil rights, standing up for immigrants, standing up against this authoritarian administration, putting in the time that it takes to organize this event is not easy. I recognize that. Running a campaign is not easy. I recognize that, especially in a district that the orange guy won. And so I want you guys to just give yourselves a round of applause because I am so proud to be here with you all today and celebrate this great accomplishment and what happened all across the country. And clearly, this is a message from the American people that we will not stand down in this important moment, which demands a lot of us. It demands us to get out of our homes, off our couches, onto the streets, and certainly out to the voting booth in November. And with your help, we will take back the majority in the House of Representatives. Now, I know this to be true because I have won one of the hardest districts in the country. I won the closest House race for Democrats in 2022. And even though my name is on that office, it is so many of you that volunteered, that helped me out, and allowed me to have the honor to represent the 2nd District in New Mexico. So thank you. Muchas gracias from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it. And that's one of the things I get asked about often in Washington, D.C. They said, Gabe, there's a handful of Democrats serving in the House in districts that the president won, essentially a Republican district, but you managed to win your district. And I said, well, the first race was really, really tough. I won by 0.6%, over 1,000 votes. And it was a race so close that I remember going to sleep at night and I was losing. And granted, I went to sleep at about 1 in the morning because I couldn't take it anymore. And I said, I got to get some rest. I'd been campaigning. I started in Albuquerque, made stops all along down I-25, and ended in the living room with my mom as we were watching the results come in. And I went to sleep. My mom went home. And at 4 in the morning, I learned that my mom had not gone to sleep that night. And she was hitting refresh on the SOS website. And she promptly woke me up with many calls, I believe 14 or 15, and told me, she said, Mijo, you won. She said, ganaste. And that's how close that race was. But we made history again in 2024 when I was the first ever Democrat to win this congressional district twice. And we won by 4% that time. And look, this is really a testament to what a representative actually means and what the framers of the Constitution were trying to do and what they meant when they created the U.S. House. It is that you create a body of folks who serve their communities in Washington, D.C. and represent their constituents. And every 2 years, if you're not satisfied with their service, you get to give them the boot. If you are, you get to keep them there. And I think that's important because the second time around, winning by 4% during a midterm year, during a Democratic presidency when Democrats are not supposed to win, and winning by more, gave me a message from New Mexicans all across the district, is that they liked my leadership, they liked what I was doing in Congress, and they liked that I represented everybody in my district. Now, 4% was about 10,000 votes, a little bit up. So we went from a 1,000 to 10,000 vote margin of victory. And that's really important to me because New Mexico's 2nd congressional district is the 2nd biggest district in the country that's not its own state. And so while I am often envious of my colleagues in the House that represent places like New York City or Los Angeles who can walk their districts in 15 to 20 minutes and cover that 750,000 people or so, it takes 10 hours to drive from Eunice, New Mexico to Zuni Pueblo. And that's without stopping at an Allsups or something, which you absolutely have to do. And so when you are tasked with representing communities like Jal and Eunice and Carlsbad and Alamogordo and Las Cruces and Sunland Park and Chaparral and the Colonias and Silver City and Lordsburg and Quemado and Reserve and Socorro and Silver City and the beautiful South Valley of Albuquerque and the west side of Albuquerque as well, it means everything to truly be the representative for those communities, because it starts with showing up, and it starts with listening to the needs of those communities. So that is the job that is before me in Washington, is making sure that my focus every day is on those communities that I represent. And so even when I go into conservative counties, into very red counties, I now have county commissioners, I have local sheriffs, I have others waiting for me with an open door and with a firm handshake to say, welcome back, Mr. Vasquez. And you know why? Because I deliver for those constituents, regardless if they voted for me or not, because that's what it means to be a representative. And that is how we, as Democrats, are going to win these tough seats, especially in rural America. Republicans will show you this map of the United States, and they'll show you where the blue counties are at and where the red counties are at. And clearly, the majority of the red counties are in very rural parts of the country for the most part, and the blue counties are concentrated in high urban areas, in particular in coastal cities on the east and west of this country. And there's these, few little blue dots that are in New Mexico, in my district, that I'm so proud to represent. But I'm also surrounded by those red counties as well. And part of the way that I win this race is not only by making sure that Democrats come out and vote and support me, but losing, honestly, by a little bit less in some of those red counties and gaining some of those independent votes and those crossover Republican votes. That is our formula to victory. I cannot win this district with Democratic voters alone. It takes a large share of independents, and it takes Republicans to cross the aisle to vote for me, and we've done that twice now. We've done that twice now. And it's really not that hard. It is common sense. This is my fourth year now getting to serve in Congress and being privileged enough to give updates, to call my mom on the phone, or to talk to my grandma when she crosses over that bridge from Ciudad Juarez to Las Cruces to see my mom. And she asked me, what the heck's going on with the Trump guy, and what are y'all doing in Washington, D.C.? And I give them updates about the things that I am doing in Washington. And one of my greatest accomplishments thus far that I'm very proud of is that here in New Mexico, we are so deeply tied to the land. We are so deeply tied to our natural resources, to our water, to our clean air, and to our wildlife, and certainly to our public lands. And so last year, the largest ever attempt to sell off America's public lands across the West came in the form of a bill that was going to go into the reconciliation package introduced by Senator Mike Lee from Utah. And that version, his version of that bill that would have put millions of acres of BLM land up for sale, including right here in New Mexico, there was a map that we produced, beautiful places like Otero Mesa in my district, the last remaining Chihuahuan desert grasslands, would have been up for sale, would have been bought by billionaires. Well, the gravity of that moment required the bipartisanship that I had developed while serving in Congress and that I had developed while serving in this district. And so I got some Republicans together from Montana, a state very similar to New Mexico that enjoys a lot of public lands and that depends on their outdoor recreation economy in many rural areas. And the former Secretary of Interior ended up being one of my allies in this fight. And I said, Mr. Zinke, I said, look, you and I have just introduced two very important public lands and conservation bills together. But if Republicans don't act in the House today, that bill is going to make it through the Senate reconciliation package. And if you vote for it, not only will your constituents be pissed off at you, but everything, all the work that you've ever done for conservation and public lands will be erased. This will be your legacy, the guy that voted to sell off millions of acres of public lands. Well, we formed the first ever bipartisan Public Lands Caucus. And together, we stopped the largest sell-off of public lands in the country's history. And it's more than just about hiking and backpacking and fishing and hunting and all the things that we all like to do here in New Mexico. It's also those important sacred sites, the tribal communities, that even though they may not be on their reservations, they hold the history of their ancestors and their families. It is about those watersheds that are already impacted and could suffer more from more and more development. It is about our way of life, from the acequias all the way to the Rio Bravo, the Rio Grande down south, that feeds our chili industry. There's so much at play. So I was very proud to do that. Altogether, I passed a little bit over 8 bills, and I was rated as, in my first term, as one of the top 10 most effective freshman legislators in Congress. And that's something I'm very proud of, because the people of New Mexico sent me to get things done. They sent me to get to work, and they sent me there for a purpose. So everything from passing bills that help support our veterans to making sure that we have the right wildfire fighting equipment, which is another bill that I passed after these massive wildfires, both in the Gila and up north in San Miguel and Mora County. I made sure that I worked with my Republican colleagues to bring more resources to wildland firefighting. That was one of the last bills that I passed. And I'm going to continue to do that work while I'm here and delivering results for the people of New Mexico. Now, I'll give you a little preview of the work that I'm doing while I'm here during this break, because every county, every community truly has different needs. And so this week, I will be visiting many of the Pueblo communities and the Navajo communities that I represent. I'll be at Isleta, I'll be at Acoma, I'll be at Laguna, I'll be at Zuni, I'll be at Almo, Rayma Navajo, and Tehajali. And we're going to discuss everything from Head Start programs to BIA shortages to Indian healthcare services that are falling short, to the needs of those communities. And not only am I going to talk and listen, but we are going to talk about the bipartisan bills that I've introduced, like the Tribal Parity for Educators Act, which would allow tribal educators at tribally controlled schools, like in Rayma Navajo, to have access to federal benefits and allow them to be competitive and retain their teachers and not have to compete with the state. That's Republican-sponsored legislation. Mr. Dusty Johnson from South Dakota said, Gabe, I have the same problem in my district. Do you want to work on this together? I said, yes, absolutely. And that's what it takes. That's what it takes to get things done. So we'll be doing that. Next week, I will be paying a visit to Camp East Montana in El Paso, which I have called to close down, because no human being deserves the treatment that this administration is currently delivering at these massive warehouses. I mean, we talk about data centers, we're talking about housing people in places just as big as data centers, essentially being treated like pieces of data, like a statistic on a sheet. And it's horrible what is happening. I have two bills to combat this, and we damn well better close Camp East Montana, because that is not a place fit for human beings, and that is not who we are as American people. And so I'm going to show up, and I'm going to knock on the door, and I say, hey, I am here. I'm Congressman Gabe Vasquez. I'm here to perform my oversight duties as is outlined in federal law. And they better damn well let me in, because that is the law, that is the rule of law, and we're going to check out what's happening there and certainly continue to hold DHS accountable. Now, before I go, many of you know that the problems right now seem very outsized, outside of our own communities here in New Mexico. We are facing many existential crises on a number of different things, from democracy to foreign wars to massive deportation forces that are now militarizing and taking over American citizens, to the loss of potential civil rights, to the treatment that is being so horribly handed down to the LGBTQ community. You name it. We are in a multitude of crises. There are spot fires just about everywhere, and it is very hard to have optimism. It is very hard oftentimes to wake up, read the news cycle, and continue that fight, because it seems like we are under the thumb of an authoritarian who has essentially destroyed the American fabric of society. And I feel that way too. I wake up and I feel the same way. But I also have optimism. Just like many of you, I am a fighter. And a long time ago, I decided to get off the couch, and it started with volunteering at my local food kitchen to give the hungry people something to eat, to running for city council, to working for Senator Heinrich, to then running against Yvette Harrell because she was not delivering for my district. And some of the hardest things are the things that are most worth fighting for. And so I know that when we take back the House in November, and when we have those checks and balances on the House side of things, what they are doing today, especially with reconciliation, where they only need a simple majority to pass things like the one big ugly bill that ripped health care away from people, that ripped food from families and from children, they won't be able to do that if they don't have the House majority. They won't be able to pass a single damn bill out of Congress once we take back the House, And that's why it's so important that you all help me get back there, because we need 3 seats, but I don't want 3 seats. I want 30 seats. I want 40 seats. We can do it. All across the country, Americans are standing up, and they are sick of folks who are loyal to a president and who are not loyal to their country, who are not loyal to the Constitution. That is what you are seeing. And overwhelmingly, independents are understanding that they have a tough choice and a very important choice to make in the next election. And you're seeing it play out, as we just saw a state senator that represents Mar-a-Lago, a Democrat, win that district. Then we can damn well do anything in this country. And it takes brave folks standing up to run for local office, for state office, for county offices, for federal office. We all have a role to play. And so although my district is purple, we will turn this district blue permanently. I know that we will. We will no longer be a frontline district. We will change the politics fundamentally of this district. The more that I get to deliver, the more that I have and earn your support, we'll be able to turn this district blue so that we know that New Mexico's 2nd district is a safe Democratic seat for years to come. And so I turn my optimism into continuing to run hard every single day. Out of all the members of Congress, I have one of the toughest jobs because I have to raise $8 million in my race alone. Now, for context, my city council race, I raised $12,000. I think at least $400 of those were for my mom. And so that was, good, that was like 6%. But $8 million is no easy feat. That means that, some of you probably get my calls. Some of you get my voicemails, I'm sure. And in between votes, any free time that I have, I spend it trying to raise money here in New Mexico from Democrats across the country to build a winning campaign. Because right now, the only advantage that Republicans have is they have a 10-to-1 cash advantage on Democrats. They have an army of industry players that are investing in races just like ours, where money is not a problem, where they will dump millions and millions of dollars, just like Elon Musk did in our race this last time around. And not only that, but now they have sophisticated AI tools to reach voters, especially in those rural areas. And they will stop at nothing to fabricate, to continue to tell lies, to campaign dirty, because this is what we've seen out of the Republican Party over the last several years. So expect to see a lot of lies, big money pouring into this district. It is, again, an honor to represent this district, to know that I get the chance to represent those communities in places like Lee County and Eddy County and Otero County and Catron County, and build respect with the constituents that I have there so that they feel good and comfortable voting for a Democrat, and they keep doing that. Maybe one day they change their party registration, but I can't do it without you. And so we've got 2 days left before the end of the quarter. I would love to have your support financially so that we can have a good quarter. My campaign manager, Patty Sakaras, is right here with us, and she would have killed me if I didn't say that. She would have killed me if I didn't say that, because that is the name of the game. But more than anything, look, we have to get this country back on the right track, and Indivisible has been a force of good, giving voice to so many people that simply needed a community to build, that needed folks that thought the same way, and gave them the opportunity and the space to express their views. You do it wonderfully. You're a great asset to the city of Albuquerque and to the state of New Mexico. And again, I consider you all heroes for standing up, for getting off the couch, for getting off the internet, and for putting in that hard work that it takes to save our democracy, because this is not a spectator sport. And just like you all, I'm a participant. I am the man in their arena, and I want to ask for your continued support. Muchas gracias. Thank you all.
Gabe, do you have any time for a question or two? Do you have any time for a question or two? Questions. Okay.
So if the tables flip and the Dems only have a two people advantage over the Republicans, we won't be able to pass anything. So, well, that was Nancy Pelosi. So what is the Democratic contingency plan if it's only a narrow Democratic lead, like 2 or 3 Dem votes?
That's an important question. Thank you for asking that. Yes, we don't have the greatest speaker of all time, Nancy Pelosi, joining us for the next session of Congress. I am grateful for her leadership and her mentorship of our new leader, Hakeem Jeffries. But that is an important question, because what we're seeing right now internally with Republicans is they got 4 different groups, essentially 4 different caucuses, conferences within the Republican Party, and the speaker has to get the blessing of all of them. And of course, the very far MAGA extreme right is the Freedom Caucus, right? And without the Freedom Caucus, they can't pass anything out of the House. And so I can't say I've never been in the majority amongst the Democrats, but I can tell you that at this very moment, and during my 3 years serving in Congress, from the Congressional Caucus to the Blue Dogs, to the New Democratic Caucus, to the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, to the Black Caucus, folks are on the same page. The issues that we have to face are much too big for us to have inner squabbles about the details. We have to save democracy. We have to protect civil rights. We have to ensure that corruption and the chaos stops. And we have to enshrine so many of the things that we thought were the norms of American society into law. And I know that that's going to be our priority as we move forward. But look, that is why we win. We have to win big. Because not only is it about the internal politics of the caucus, but let me tell you, the Republicans will try to play games with this election. They still have to certify elections, and that means that the Republicans coming up into this next election will be tasked with voting on certifying the elections. And if we are 2 or 3 seats away, they could deny Democrats the House majority. So that's why we have to win by 30 or 40 seats, because when we bring that blue wave to them, those results will be undeniable. And even if they contest 1 or 2 or 3 races, it's going to be impossible for them to contest the will of the people. So the answer to that, we win by more. I think we can. We've got great candidates all across the country. I expect to see several Republicans lose. And look, you know, this bad medicine they threw on us in Texas with the House redistricting is actually probably going to end up in a net 2 more Democratic seats for the Republicans, because they thought we were too weak and we would let them run over us. But right now, what it's looking like is that we're actually stand to gain 2 seats. And they started this fight that now apparently that they want to end. So thank you.
Okay, real quick. Thank you so much for being here and all the service you give, and the fact that you listen to your constituents so closely. I think everybody has to do that. Everybody has to represent their people, no matter what sort of leader they are. My question is, Roosevelt and Lee County, Texas.
Yeah.
Heard of them?
Yeah.
What do you think about the idea that Texas wants to take over a couple of your counties?
Well, I heard a clip of our great Attorney General Raul Torres during the march this weekend, and I think he said, "I don't know what they're smoking in Texas, but it's not legal. It's not legal over there." And look, obviously the Permian Basin, those Southeast politics are tough. They are tough for Democrats. Part of the reason why is because for years many Democrats haven't been out there. There's great organizations like Somos Un Pueblo Unido and Somos Acción that are doing God's work in places like Carlsbad and in places like Lee County. And the fastest growing Hispanic population is actually in the Southeast, because the majority of those oil and gas workers, that are in places like Chavez County and Lee County, right? The muscle behind the energy industry are the Hispanic folks that are not just moving from New Mexico, but from other parts. So there is great hope for the southeast part of the county. It just takes the right candidate and the right local candidates to run for those offices. And let me tell you, I didn't know this until I ran for Congress, but the mayor of Hobbs was a Democrat for like 6 years. And and not only that, but he had his business was one of those vegetarian meat plants. So anything is possible is what I'm trying to say. And Mayor Sam Cobb, he's a great guy. But look, it's no question that the reason that we get to invest in New Mexico the way that we do is certainly because of the energy production that exists there. That is why a third of our state budget roughly can go back into our schools, into infrastructure, and so much more. Now, I can continue on about the energy industry and how we handle that issue, but I think the most important thing to tell Texans is that, you know, they say don't mess with Texas. I would say no chingues con Nuevo Mexico. It's ours. Otherwise, we'll take El Paso.
Two quick, fun questions.
Yes.
Are your puppies your best fundraisers? And are they Conejo hounds?
Oh, thank you. So, you know, it's so funny you mentioned that. Today, I did a hard-hitting interview, and it was this morning. It was actually about the role of my dog on the campaign, and I said, man, why can't all the interviews be like this? But you know, I travel. So I drive from Washington D.C. to New Mexico at least 4 times a year or so, roughly. It's a 3-day drive. I usually stop in Nashville, right outside of Dallas, and then make it back home to the Mesilla Valley. And I do that for one reason, because I love the heck out of my dog. And my dog, usually during the summer, it's too hot to fly her. She's got to go into undercarriage, and they won't allow it. But she's a New Mexican through and through. And I will not deprive her of her public lands as she is in an apartment in Washington, D.C., looking out the window at those squirrels, wishing that they were instead jackrabbits and that she could go out our backyard and chase them around. And so Suki, man's best friend for a reason, no matter what mood I'm in, and I'm sure you all are in when you walk through that door. They are so happy to see you. And scientifically, hey, it's proven that they release those chemicals that we so badly need to continue these battles and to stay happy. So Suki is a great fundraiser. She'll be on the campaign trail with me. We now have a mini dachshund as well, little tiny wiener dog. It's the cutest thing of all time. And, you know, I can't say whether she's going to be on the campaign or not, but I certainly think she's going to raise some dollars for us. So her name is Biscuits, so look out for Biscuits. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabe, so much.
Thank you, Gabe Vasquez. You are our hero. And thank you for the work you do.
Thank you so much for coming.
It's important work. Willie, who's next?
We have a special guest to make a brief return visit, and Jonathan Lagoria, who was one of our student board members for many years and now is working with the Young Democrats and wants to talk to us briefly about a convention that they're having in New Orleans in the next couple of weeks. Jonathan?
Come on down. Jonathan, you're the next speaker for Indivisible. Yay. Oh, boy.
All right. So yes, at one point I was a board member of Indivisible. It's awesome to see just how far this organization has grown. I remember after we came back from COVID, we did hybrid meetings, right? So we probably had a setup that was probably maybe like $100 at most, right? We had like a little webcam, and now I see like a $10,000 camera like staring me in the face. So it's, yeah, we didn't have that before, a little fancy clicker. No, just this is the one. Okay. So the reason why I am here today is I am the treasurer of the Young Democrats. Our president is right there. Say hi, Marcos. And we are going to a convention in New Orleans here in the next couple weeks. So we are doing a big fundraising push because I think we have a goal of about maybe $5,000 left. So especially with the fact of the rising costs of living and then the war in Iran doing gas price jumps, I think we spent almost about $6,000 on plane tickets. But we are taking a delegation of about 18 Young Democrats from New Mexico. And our president wanted me to share this message that since the last meeting in December, which was in Omaha, Nebraska, because of the connections that we made over there, 4 Young Democrats from New Mexico were appointed to positions on the national stage in the Young Democrats of America. So with the support of individuals from New Mexico, we would be able to send 18 young Democrats back and show them on the national stage. So with the support of people like you can help make that happen. So we have our Act Blue right there. Also, if you want to give a check, cash, or something like that, find me or Marcos, but any amount helps at all. You know, because some of it will go to our registration or even food. So, okay. Well, that was my little spiel, but thank you so much for letting me talk. And, oh, No Kings was amazing. You all put on a great performance.
Thank you. We hope you have a good time and a safe trip to New Orleans.
Wait
and
just a minute, Jonathan, to see if there are any questions. Does anyone have any questions for Jonathan?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. I'm glad to see you're also curious.
We're so curious. He has more.
So we hear on the news that the youth are completely turned off by the Democratic Party, but you are one of the youth that are part of the Democratic Party. So what can we do, or what can the Democratic Party do to get more youth involved, and why are the youth turned off?
Well, I mean, that's going to take a lot longer than I have for time, but in terms of, I mean, that's basically what we're doing. I mean, when I started in 2020 in New Mexico politics, I think it was very difficult. I didn't know any other young people out here. And there were also other members that were part of that, I guess, era, you'd call it, when I was in Indivisible, that know that I wanted to start like a young organization. So that's what we're doing. We're trying to get more youth activated here in the state of New Mexico, and I think we've done a pretty successful job. I mean, now we have more young people that are part of the, is it the executive committee, sort of? Yeah.
Oh.
And then we have Bo, and then we have Cam, which we consider young Democrats, and they're part of the.
Yes,
Oh,
our
Jacob,
Bernalillo
yeah.
County chair
Yeah.
is Jacob
That's also
Trujillo,
another
who's
example.
very young.
Yeah. So we're seeing improvements, but there is a lot of political apathy that we see, and it's a large mountain that we're trying to climb. But we're doing better than I think we did in 2020.
So, Jonathan, what are the primary issues that youth are engaged about, and what do they want? What are their concerns?
If I had to make my best guess, in terms of like politically apathetic individuals, I would say it's cost of living and jobs and education as well. Because I don't know if you've like heard like news reports, but like getting a bachelor's degree
Yeah.
is essentially the equivalency of not getting one at all in terms of job placements nowadays. So we're
Oh,
seeing,
wow.
yeah. And I graduated at a perfect time too, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's there, but we don't really see it on the national stage of people. And I don't want to take up too much time because Cesar Marquez.
No, we appreciate your time here. So,
He does have a lot of interesting stuff to say in news, but just
one more quick question.
I'm sorry, Cesar.
Hello. I just would say, would you please report back to us and let us know what happens when you're there so that we can kind of keep track of what's going on with the young Dems. That's it.
Definitely, yeah. We're going to plan on probably speaking for like, to want to be the main speakers one night when we come back. This probably be in like May. But
Yes.
yeah, we'll get that done.
Thank
Glad
you,
you all want that.
Jonathan.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you.
On April 6th, at the City Council, there is going to be a vote on ranked choice voting. And it's going to be a very close vote. We are working very hard to get to, on Brooke Bassan and Clarissa Pena to support it. It's going to be tough. So I asked Cesar Marquez, who's with Common Cause, to come and talk to us about ranked choice voting, for those of you who are not familiar with it, and to try to elicit support from people, in particularly in District 4 and District 3, that's Clarissa Pena and Brooke Bassan, to see if they can reach out to their counselor to support the vote. So, Cesar.
All right, I will do that. I kind of don't want to be. No. Hi everybody. Good afternoon. Good evening. My name's Cesar. My name's Cesar Marquez. I'm the senior organizer with Common Cause New Mexico. And today I have a short presentation that I'll go through, but I kind of want to make this more of a conversation. Oh, click. I'm assuming it's this one. Ah. All right. Back there. Okay. So just introduction about us and Common Cause New Mexico. So we are a nonpartisan grassroots organization with over 50 years of experience defending democracy. We believe government should work for everyone, not just the wealthy or well-connected, which is I'm sure as you see right now. And we organize locally and nationally to expand access to the ballot, strengthen ethical governance, and build people power. And obviously, we work very close with you guys. Our organization was also very active with the No Kings protest. So we got a lot of really good feedback. And, we table, so I don't know if you guys saw me there. We were talking about this issue a little bit. So hopefully recognize my face and some of the work that we're doing. So some of the things that we're working on, as I'll get into, is obviously passing ranked choice voting here in the city of Albuquerque. One of the things that we're working on is having a successful semi-open primary in 2026. This is going to be the first year that independent voters are going to be able to participate. And so there was some questions about young people, getting them active. Well, over 50%, the majority of young people are independents. And so before, they couldn't even have access to vote in the primaries, right? And so opening up the primaries to everybody, regardless of party affiliation, is one way that we can get more young people activated. Now, the challenge is that a lot of them don't even know that the primaries are open, that they can even vote. So that's some of the work that we'll be doing between now and June 2nd, getting the word out. And one quick note is that there's about 365,000 independent voters that are going to be able to vote for the first time. So that's about 1 in every 4 voters here in New Mexico. So this is a pretty big deal, for our state. Another issue that we have been working on and are working on is passing legislative pay. So we actually had a big day of action. Oh, thank you. Yeah. We held a day of action with some of the sponsors, some of the organizations, and it passed in the legislature, but it's going to go up for final approval to the voters. So it is going to be on the November ballot. So some of the work that we'll be doing is to educate voters, let them know to please vote yes on this one, so that more people can run and afford to run, not just the rich, retire, and resourceful. That is kind of the saying that you guys have. Yeah. Yes. And then another big thing that we do is we run the election protection program here in New Mexico. So if you guys see, there's like a hotline to call in case, especially now this year, with ICE and some of the other, shenanigans that we might have to watch out. So we have folks, like watch pollers, like watch outside and inside the polls location, just to make sure everything is doing. So that's something we're actively recruiting volunteers for. So some of y'all want to help us out with that. I want to introduce actually real quick 2 folks right here, Oren Pope, our intern at Common Cause, and Perry Radford. So, yay. Perry actually is part of New Mexico Voters First, and she's part of the team that led the efforts to pass the semi-open primaries. We work closely with them, and they were actually here last time I presented. So They're going to be handing out some take action cards that we have. So if you guys want to take action at the end of this presentation, we'll be out here talking to folks. All right. Okay, cool. All right. So I'm going to get a little bit, I'm not going to spend too much time into the runoff and all that kind of stuff because I did a presentation last time. Can you guys raise your hand if you were here for the last presentation? All right, cool. Good chunk of you guys. Okay, cool. So for those who were not here, I'm still going to explain it. We're just not going to do a live demo just for time's sake. But if you have any questions about how it works, we'll be here, to answer any questions. So right now in Albuquerque, we have I'm moving out of the light, sorry. So here in Albuquerque, we have what's called runoff elections, meaning that if people run and they don't get over 50%, then we have to have a second separate election, which if you guys participated last December and November, we did that for the mayoral race and 2 city council races, right? And obviously this process delays decisions. We have to wait a month later over Las Cruces and Santa Fe, who do have this system, right? Requires a second round of voting, which a lot of people don't attend because they have other, life responsibilities, maybe work, childcare, things like that, right? And so what we see is that voter participation drops off. And one of the most important aspects of this is that in 2025, it costs $1.8 million to administer this second unnecessary election. Boo, yes, boo. Because we're paying for it. And now I want you to imagine all of the things that we could be spending this money on, all these programs that our communities so desperately need, especially now with the federal cuts that we're seeing, right? And so what we are proposing is a voting system called ranked choice voting or instant runoffs. And cheer for ranked choice voting, yeah. And some of the reasons for it is because it saves time and money, just like Santa Fe and Las Cruces have already experienced. So we have a sample ballot from Santa Fe from 2018, and essentially the biggest difference between this ballot and a regular one is that instead of filling one bubble for one candidate, you get to rank your candidates in order of preference from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Very simple. And that's important because the people in power want you to believe that it's not simple. So you'll hear me mention that a bit. And, one of the things also that I want to touch on is that I personally believe that this system would increase voter participation, especially with young people. I'm 36, so when I first voted, I voted for Obama in 2008. Before that, I was never politically active until, Trump got elected. But one of the reasons that I was so disillusioned, and I am an independent, is because, a lot of us feel like our votes don't really matter, right? In most elections, we see that the decision gets made in the primary, so by the time you get to the general, you have to decide between the lesser of two evils, right? I don't know if everybody's ever experienced something like that. And so ranked choice voting fixes that because now I can vote my conscience, I can vote for a libertarian, Green Party, DSA, independent, have your pick. And if that person loses, that's okay because then I can put a Democrat or, somebody else as a backup plan, right? Let's see. And one of the most important aspects of ranked choice voting is that in order to win, you have to reach a majority. You have to win with 50% plus 1 of the vote, right? And if, actually, I'll explain it real quick since we have a picture. So when you vote, you fill out the bubbles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in order to win, you have to reach 50% plus 1. If somebody gets that in the first round, then that person wins. There's no need for an instant runoff, right? But if nobody gets a majority, then you eliminate the last place and you look at who they put as their second choice. So in this example, we're trying to decide between our favorite ice cream flavors. We have chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. And we see that after the first round, nobody got a majority. So what we do is we eliminate the last place In this case, it's vanilla with 25% of the vote. And then we look at who they put as their second choice, and then we distribute those votes, right? And so what we see here is that 15% of the people who put vanilla as their first choice put chocolate as their second, and 10% of those people put strawberry as their third, right? And so this is important because even if your first choice candidate does not win, you still have a voice in the election. You still have a say, right? As to compare with the current system, which is, one of the reasons they tell you not to vote third party or independent is because you're throwing your vote away, right? You're voting, or sometimes, if anything, they harass you. I'm sure you guys have been harassed by Democrats saying, oh, you're actually helping the opposition by voting for, a Green Party candidate, right? So with ranked choice voting, all of that goes away. One vote, yes, one vote. So it's 50% plus one vote. Yeah, simple majority, yes. Cool. And so in this example, we see that after the first tabulation, chocolate got 55% of the vote, and and they win. The race is over. So let's see. Okay. Well, before I get to the, are there any questions about how this system works? Yes, sir. Yes, great question. So yes, thank you. The question was if you have to vote for all of the candidates, right? You have to, kind of forced to rank all of them. And the answer is no. You do not have to rank all of them. Technically, you can even rank just one candidate, and your ballot is still valid, right? Now, obviously, we encourage people to rank as many candidates as their values are aligned, right? Because if you don't, then you're kind of losing your voice in the process if your first choice candidate does get eliminated, right? Because then we don't have anybody to look at as your second choice. So obviously, we encourage people to rank as many, but it is not required. Yes. So if somebody's too extreme for you, you can just leave them out. Any other question? All right. Yeah. I almost like I planted that question in there. Okay. So, we have been working at this, folks like Perry, Oren, and I for, almost a year. I'm almost about to, in May, it's going to be my first year in New Mexico, and with Common Cause. And so this is one of the things that we have been at for the last year. And the final vote is going to be happening next Monday, April 6th, at the 5 o'clock meeting. And so what we're going to be doing, which if you're able to attend, we're going to hold a rally around 4:15 right before the meeting, and then we're all going to walk in there together and pack the room as much as we can to let them know, hey, this is something that we're paying attention to. And it's really important because so far at these public public comment meetings, it's really been like, New Mexico Voters First and Common Cause, leading the efforts, doing public comment. And so right now they think that it's just us, right? Because that's kind of what they've seen. And so we have been doing a lot of work in the background, obviously talking to you folks. And one thing that I want to say is that it's very understandable why so many organizations are focused on other things. Like, obviously, you guys had to host this amazing rally, protest, which obviously takes a lot of money, a lot of effort. And, I can go down every organization, and obviously we're putting out fires with eyes, the environment, education, right? But I think now is definitely the time for all of us to come together and show up at City Council and let them know, hey, this is something that we're paying attention. This system is simple. It's already being used in Las Cruces and Santa Fe. Gabe Vasquez, when I first met him at your conference actually last August, that's what he remembered Common Cause for. So, oh, you guys are the anxious voting people, right? And so, so this is not something that we're that is new. And not the last thing I want to say. but we're especially targeting District 4. Oh, do you have a question? Yes. Yes. I know Perry has one. Okay. Do you want to take the mic, maybe? Just come over here. Yeah.
So some of the arguments are bad faith arguments, and I want to be really clear about that. So for example, Dan Lewis always talks about how it's against the one person, one vote rule. And that's BS, and he has walked out of the room almost every single time this has been addressed at City Council. He does not listen, he's not interested in the facts. Some of the other arguments are it's complicated, but research shows that isn't true. So across the board, almost 17 million Americans use ranked choice voting now. And the polling from all these places that are very, very diverse actually ends up showing about the same thing. So a pretty large plurality, usually somewhere around 70%, 60 to 70%, likes ranked choice voting. About 20 to 30% doesn't like ranked choice voting. About 90% say they understand it. So when people say that folks can't understand it, they're just trying to make up for the fact that they don't like it, / they haven't sat down for 2 seconds to understand how it works. It is very clear from our conversations that lots of people who say it's complicated have not taken the 2 minutes to understand how it works. What they actually are is anti-democratic. And the reason this is so important, and I'm going to be on a soapbox for a minute, is we have too many issues in front of us to fight right now. We have too many fires to put out. I'm sure everyone in this room feels that way. And this democracy stuff seems like, oh, I guess we got to fix the democracy too. This is the golden key. This is how we make the other issues better, and we make these candidates more responsive to us, especially at City Hall. Who feels like City Hall is very responsive in Albuquerque right now? Yeah, I thought so. If you've sat through those meetings, you know. I'll stop.
Wow,
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary. Yes. And I'll add a little bit to that because I've been working on this, like open primaries, ranked choice voting for about 5 years. I did this work in Nevada before I moved out here. And I've noticed a lot of the same talking points that sometimes not even come from the candidates themselves. It's from their campaign managers or their political consultants. And these political consultants hate this system because it messes up with how they make their money. These consultants are used to running a bunch of negative ads, negative mailers, and pit us against each other, and they make thousands and thousands of dollars of just putting junk mail in your inbox, right? And so a lot of these arguments, because there's not a lot of people who are paying attention, just kind of get accepted as like, oh, I guess it is kind of complicated, and there's nobody to check them and question that, right? And so part of the work that we want to do is have regular folks show up at public comment and be like, this is easy. I went to city council and I did a demonstration with Legos, so they know that it's not hard to to illustrate. But that's just what their political consultants tell them. And in part because we're not there to challenge them. We need regular folks to be, hey, this is easy, it's not complicated. If anything, it's insulting, because what are they trying to say about us? That we can't learn how to rank our favorite ice cream flavor, right? It's ridiculous. And so that's why we need folks to show up and dispel some of these myths.
Yeah, Cesar, I want to make a couple of comments. One, what I have said before in the public comment is I have a lot of people live in northeastern Maine, which is way up north, and they clearly have ranked choice voting, and they clearly are no smarter than the people in New Mexico. So that if they can do it, we can do it. I actually went and talked to Councilor Bassan last week. And the issue that she brought up is she thought ranked choice voting was anti-incumbent. That because her example was Keller only got 40% or somewhere around that. in the initial election. That meant 60% of the people were against him. And if it had been ranked choice voting, her assumption was that all 60% would have continued to vote against him and he would have lost. Clearly that's not true. And Cesar has some data from Fair Vote? Is that what? From Fair Vote, who've done studies, who said that if you look at ranked choice voting versus whatever other kind of voting, the incumbents either win or lose at the same rate. That there's no difference between the incumbents winning with ranked choice voting as there is with regular voting. Ironically, the other article you sent me took the opposite slant, and they thought that ranked choice voting favored incumbents, and that they again proved that wasn't true. So that there's some people who think it favors incumbents, some people think it is against incumbents, and the answer is it's neither.
Yeah.
How did Brooke take my instructions? It's unclear, but at least I sent her some stuff, this article, to say, Brooke, that's not true. Now, in Brooke's case specifically, her first election, she got 40-some-odd% of the vote. Her two Democratic candidates got 58% of the vote, or some random number like that. It is conceivable that she would have not won if there was ranked choice voting. I mean, in that election, in that situation, she might not have won. But she didn't bring that up. That's not what she said. And so I hope sending this article, and if other people in District 4 can talk to her, we have a chance.
Yes, thank you. And I'll add something real quick, and then we'll get to your question, sir. And ranked choice voting is not designed to be anti or pro-incumbent, right? So what it's designed to do is change the mechanism of how somebody wins, right? Which in this case is just to get the majority. So the strategy does have to change, right? Because if you're running I continue to run the same playbook of attacking my opponents and running negative stuff, well, those supporters are probably going to rank me last, right? And so what we see is the incumbents that understand the system, they adjust and say, okay, well, now I just have to talk to more independents, or I have to reach across the aisle, or now I can co-endorse with somebody that's value aligned. Like we saw this play out in New York City. Mandami and Lander, who were the progressives in the race, they co-endorsed each other and said, hey, put me one and put him second, and vice versa, right? And so, the campaign managers and the candidates who adapt to this system, do end up winning. It seems like a lot of them do it, right? And so, yeah, I don't want to sell this as like, this is how we get rid of all the incumbents. It's like, no, if the majority of people want that person, then that's what it is, right? So, yes.
So thanks for coming and speaking to us. I certainly support ranked choice voting. I think it's a great idea. We did this at one of our other meetings where in the time I was listening, I went to find out who my county counselor was, and I sent her an email on the county website, and I asked her to support ranked choice voting. So it's basically a call. Basically, you can do that right now. And so I suggest you just get your phones out and send your counselor an email.
And I'll say this. If you RSVP to the event through that first QR code, it'll take you to like our mobilized link. So if you have your phone, you can pull it out. When you RSVP to the event, it will send you like an automated email with like instructions. And in those instructions, we have a dialer that our partners at Fairvote gave us, where you enter your address and it tells you who your counselor is, and then it has a script, and you can even just click a button and it'll call their number for you and like call you back or something like that. And so if you RSVP to the event, you will automatically get that dialer set up, and you can just follow the instructions. Yes, and back. Okay, so I'll give you guys a little bit of context on that. Thank you for that question.
Repeat them.
So he's asking, how does Feeble Corn feel about this? I'm assuming that's your counselor. Fibuco, amazing. She's been a champion. She's been championing this issue for years, probably. Same thing with Nicole Rogers. And now that Stephanie Tellez won, she's also a sponsor. So Nicole Rogers, Stephanie Tellez, and Tammy Fibucorn are the sponsors of this bill. Okay, so let me share the tea with Joaquin real quick. So, so Joaquin Baca had voted in favor of this bill, or ordinance, sorry. And then when it was brought up at the Finance and Government Committee, he voted against it. And so it died in committee because I think Stephanie was the only vote in favor, and there was like 4 against it. Fibucorn and Rogers were not in that committee, so they couldn't vote for that one. And so then it died in committee, and Joaquin Baca was, one of them. Now, I guess there's a rule where at the next meeting, you can attempt to revive an ordinance, and if it gets 4 votes, then it's brought back, and that's actually how we got it. So at the meeting on March 16th, Fibucorn made the motion, and then Joaquin Baca did vote in favor to revive it. So I don't know what's going on there, but we think he does need a little bit of pressure. So if you're in District 2 like I am, he's definitely somebody that you might want to check on him and say, hey, make sure you vote because I'm gonna see you there on Monday. And then Perry has something to add. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you're in Baca's district, it won't hurt. It will help to reach out to him and let him know that you support this position. He's looking for a majority vote on this. So the real game here is getting Basan or Pena. He is on board if we get one or both of those. And that is what we have been working on nonstop for the past 6 months, is every single lead, strategy, relationship to get to them. So they aren't hopefully sick of hearing from us yet. So we need y'all to help us push it a little further.
And I think the only people that really haven't heard from is the people, you guys and everybody in our coalition, because we've tried all the, Stansburys and the Deb Hollands and folks that are close with some of these, counselors to get them to flip. But we're prioritizing especially Basan. We think Basan is the one that we can get, in part because in her last race, she won by 100 or 200 votes, something like that. And so she's up for re-election, right? And so we have a bunch of, voters from District 4 that say, hey, I don't appreciate you wasting $1.8 million of my tax dollars. And you know what? I want to support a candidate who believes in ranked choice voting because I'm tired of the negative ads and, all this kind of stuff, right? I believe that stuff will make a difference. Because sometimes the only thing that these folks respond to is the fear of them losing their jobs, right? And so I think that this rally and this, public comment is the opportunity to let them know, hey, we're going to continue organizing one way or another. It's either going to be to educate voters on ranked choice voting because it's going to get implemented, or it's going to be because we know which district we need to flip to get the votes to do that, right? And so it's really going to be up to them at that point, but we obviously need to pack the room and deliver that message. She's a sponsor. So yeah, so if you want to call her, say thank you, for sure.
What's Pena's issue?
Great question. Is that how much time I have left? Okay, all right. I'll make it quick. Yeah, new technology. You guys are getting all the upgrades. We don't know. And so we're going to have that conversation because we think that maybe she also believes that this system is anti-incumbent. Usually, just in general, the folks in power don't want to give it up because ranked choice voting, to me, ultimately what it does, it gives the power back to the voters, right? And so candidates who win under a certain system, they're like, yeah, you know what? This one's kind of working for me, so you know what? I'm not going to change it, right? So I think it's a little bit of that, especially she just won her re-election, so she thinks she's got plenty of time, But we'll remember this vote, and we'll be around, so yeah. And then this other QR code real quick. Well, we're gonna have a training on Thursday on how to give public comment, but obviously this one's gonna be specifically for ranked choice voting. So we'll in that email in the first one, we have a document with talking points and things like that, and we'll be here if you guys need some help with that. But if you have some time on Thursday, we're going to do a public or a training on public comment on Zoom, and we'd love to see you all there. Okay? And with that, I'm gonna stop.
Okay, thank you, Cesar. I will certainly be there to make public comment, okay? So it says to sign up to do public comment by talking to you. So I'm talking to you to do public comment. So I will be there, okay? And thank you for coming. And if those of you who are so inclined, please reach out to your counselor so we can try to get this passed. We failed 4 or 5 years ago, so we're trying again. Yes. Yes. Yes, we are this is for the Democratic primary. So the forums next 3 weeks, we have the land commissioner next week. In 2 weeks, we have lieutenant governor. In 3 weeks, we have secretary of state. It's just since the next election is the primary, this is just the Democratic candidates, okay? So there'll be 3 speakers next week, Juan Sanchez, Matthew McQueen, and Jonas Moya. And for Lieutenant Governor is Harold Pope and Toulouse Oliver, Maggie Toulouse Oliver. And for the Secretary of State will be Catherine Clark and Amanda Askin. So thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. It was great to see you all Saturday, and we hope to see you next week. Bye.
Thank you.